Welcome to episode 1 of the RPG podcast. I'm your host, Trevor, aka Zimmy Games, and here with me today is a man that I'm very privileged to say agreed to be the co-host of this show, Red Wolf Renegade. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. The passion is flowing through my veins. Just thank you. I'm excited to get into all this RPG nerdism.
That's right. We're gonna have a nerdgasm. All right. So
Yes.
at the very beginning of this week, on the at Zimmy Games Twitter, which conveniently is my Twitter, I posted a poll, and it was a great poll. I had a great question. I'm scrolling down to try to find it. There we go. So the poll was, who would win in a free-for-all fight between these RPG protagonists? The Dragonborn from Skyrim, Commander Shepard from the Mass Effect series, Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series, or the sole survivor from the Fallout 4 game. So basically, Wolf, a great way of imagining this is all four of these characters are just bam, right on like planet Earth, right? And they're going to go fighting. Who's going to win?
Well, you know me. And by the way, just to be transparent, I have not looked at the results. Okay, I have not
Okay.
looked because
I have.
I wanted this to be okay. Oh, did you on your own Twitter?
Well, I had to, right? Like, I mean, I just, I had to.
Oh man, I'm just gonna say because there is magic-ish things involved in Mass Effect.
Okay.
There's a bit of a defense there. There's a bit of a knowledge with Commander Shepard because of the biotics and space magic and stuff like that. So that, and then just a regular dude from Fallout. It was Fallout, right? The sole survivor.
Yeah, they're just like the main protagonist. So if so, like I
Right.
guess if you're a male, you're the soldier. If you're the female, then you're the lawyer. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
basically just whichever you imagine, I guess, in that
Yeah.
situation.
And in that, it's like they are used to killing just very well, it's not grounded, but
I mean, super
apocalyptic
mutants,
super mutants, right? That's why I was like,
ghouls,
never mind.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. But then it's like it goes into like just more sciencey, radioactive kind of magic, So you know what I mean?
Magic, yeah.
Radioactive
Fallout.
magic. Yeah, exactly. So that I just don't see that working at all. By the way, I'm championing Commander Shepard here, and so that versus but then there's the Dovahkiin, right?
There is Dragonborn.
So
Yeah. I mean, he could
I don't know, man.
anything.
Literally, the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, he could just be like, "Foos," and you're just like,
Yeah,
you're gone. So that's like the only thing, and they can like stop time and everything. So that's hard.
True.
I don't know. I'm still just gonna say Commander Shepard's gonna fight it out to the end. I think Commander Shepard.
Yeah. So I mean, the Dragonborn's cool, right? Like he's pretty cool, but like he's not, he's not Elder Scrolls Oblivion main character. I mean,
Yeah.
because that guy literally turns into a god if you play the Shivering Isle DLC. Spoiler alert.
Yep.
So I would say no, probably not Dragonborn. Geralt of Rivia, he's cool, right? But
He's
I don't
hot.
know. I mean, I guess, yeah. But I don't know, man. I mean, he's like nothing without his potions,
That's
And
yeah, I guess to an extent when it comes to fighting something more, powerful than him. He's like, drink my juice.
He's also used to just fighting like regular, like crappy humans, right? And monsters, right? So, I mean, he doesn't really have experience, which I guess none of these guys really have like that much experience fighting, other characters. But I don't know. I don't think he would win. Fallout guy, probably not. I'm gonna go with with Commander Shepard as well, and I'll tell you the reason why. This man or woman, we have to be inclusive here. Fought off the Reaper threat.
Yes.
Right.
The universal apocalypse.
And if we're going by canon logic, or at least what we think is canon, right? He survives.
Yes. Destroy ending, baby. Yeah.
After
you know all
what I mean?
So, yeah.
I have to say Commander Shepard for me would also be, and I hate that you said Commander Shepard. I know that I remember like you did post like a GIF or GIF, however you say it, of Geralt of Rivia,
Yes.
and I was like, hopefully that's really going to be his pick because I didn't want both of us to, fanboy Shepard, but it turns out that we both fanboyed Shepard.
Yep, we did, and that was actually my choice. The GIF was more of like a joke, like him being like,
Yeah, you were trying
because
to
I didn't actually.
mislead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wasn't.
Okay,
I really didn't expect him to be in the poll at all. Actually, I forgot. I
okay,
wouldn't even. I didn't even remember the choices to begin with. But I Shepard was exactly first thing I picked. Boom. But then I saw
okay.
my man Henry in there, and I was like, but so
So
yeah.
we got 41 votes. Is what we got, which I
Oh,
think is actually a pretty good sample size, really, for this to be the very first poll that we ever do on the very first premiere episode of the RPGwhat podcast. I think that 41 votes, I'm happy with that, honestly. I am.
yeah.
So 26.8% of people voted Dragonborn, right? Respectable, right? Really good.
Mm.
31.7% of people voted for Commander Shepard, our boy.
Uh,
39% voted for Geralt of Rivia, meaning that he won. More people thought Geralt of Rivia was victorious than any of the other characters. Now, here's the sad thing, and I feel so bad for the sole survivor because he only got 2.4%
I was like,
of the
wait, the
vote.
math. Oh my god, that's
No
funny.
one, and I mean no one, has any faith at all in the sole survivor. Yeah, I don't know if it's that people didn't have faith or people were like, I don't know who that is.
Right. Yeah, maybe if it was like the lone one, because I think a lot of people called him the lone wanderer, and maybe that was because of like the song from
That's from like Fallout 3, right? The
3,
lone
right? And
Yeah, the Lone
maybe that's
Wanderer is Fallout 3. New Vegas is the I can't
the courier.
yeah, that and then obviously Fallout 4 is the sole survivor because he or she is the
Literally
sole
is.
survivor
Yeah.
literally from the game. So, yeah. All right. Well, that was a cool poll. Next week we're going to be here on the RPGwhat YouTube channel Thursday at 7 p.m. And we're going to start off with another poll next week. And the poll is going to be posted live or right on the at Zimmy Games Twitter handle. So if you want to vote, that's how you participate. The poll will go live on Monday, unless I forget, like I did this week, and then it will probably come out on Tuesday. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the main topic of this show. So whenever I came to you, Red, and I was like, hey, I really want to do a podcast, and I want it to be focused on Western RPGs. You were like, yes. And I was like, but what should our first topic, like our major topic, be? And you said
Yes.
something. And as soon as I heard it and it went into this ear and then did some things up in here,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's perfect. And so the topic is
Yes.
the most inspirational RPGs in our lives, or as Red likes to put it, go ahead. How'd you put it?
The RPGs that made us. Yes, that's
Gotcha.
right. Yeah.
So, Red, what's the RPG that made you? And to the man that sits
Oh
in front of
boy.
us right now.
I'll never forget this. I've told the story so many times recently, and I don't get tired of telling it because it wasn't intentional. It was very last minute, and I'll try to keep it short. It was Christmas. It was a cold Christmas, and we were on our way to a family like week long get together that was like 2 hours away. So we were going to be staying for a week in this winter storm. We had to run to a mall because my mom had to pick up some last minute things because she forgot everyone. She doesn't like anyone. I'm just kidding. I love you, mom. Hey,
I love
not
you
just my
too,
mother.
Red's mom.
But yeah, hell yeah, mom.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, mom. But yeah, so anyway, so we went while we were in the
I
mall
got
and
sidetracked.
yeah. So my mother does that. But no, so we there was an EB Games there because that's what it was during that time.
Okay. Old school.
And she's like, if you behave yourself. Now I was like 12 or something like that. She's like, if you behave yourself, you can go pick out one game and that'll be like your early present. Just go pick out one thing. Because back then games were what, like $30, $40, something like that for a
Yeah.
full price game. And I walked in, I had an Xbox, just original Xbox. I took my tube TV with me and my original Xbox to stay at my grandmother's house. So that was in the back of the car the whole time, and I saw this game, and it was black and shiny gold, and I could see it. I was like, "What is that over there?" And it was Morrowind, the Game of the Year edition. So it's all shiny, with that aluminum. And I flipped over the back, and it was like play as what is it, eight playable, right? I always forget which number it is. However many races you can play as.
Mhm.
And it just blew me. I was like, this is like I'd never seen anything like that in my life. And because that was back in 2003, right? I think 2003, 2000, yeah,
That sounds
2003.
right. I think
Yeah.
the game actually came out in 2001, I'm wanting to think, but it might have
That
been
would make sense.
2003. Yeah.
That would make sense
Anyway.
because then the Game of the Year, came afterwards with all the DLC. And so yeah, and then I remember getting to the grandmother's house, plugging in,
Mhm.
hauling a massive 21-inch tube TV in.
Box. Just the
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, just when you turn it on, you're like deafened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck Christmas, this is my life now, and it consumed me. Like
Do you
I didn't know
remember
what agency was.
turning off one of those old TVs? It's almost like a black hole is swallowing light.
Yeah,
You know what
you
I'm
turn off
talking
and it's like
about?
you're like, "Ah," and it's like
Yeah.
because like that noise you hear it for so long, and then
Mhm.
you turn it off and it's like your brain is like, what the fuck, you need to turn that shit back on. I know you didn't like it, but turn it back on because I'm about to like pass out or something. I'm like, yeah, I'll never forget that. Yeah,
So
so Morrowind.
Little Red is sitting there and he has the TV ready. He has the old school Xbox ready. He has his game sitting right there, okay? And he pops that sucker in. And all of a sudden he starts hearing that theme song.
Oh,
And what is
yeah.
he thinking? What's he thinking?
It immediately like the excitement because like the theme song has like evolved over the years,
Mhm. Yeah.
and
It's
the
gotten
theme
worse,
song.
I think.
It got a little aggressive in Skyrim, I'll say that. Yeah. In
It did.
Morrowind though, it was very because Oblivion sounded more like Pirates of the Caribbean, and then Skyrim was like
Yeah.
Nordic, and then but Morrowind was more it was softer. It had that
Yeah.
piano, it had that flute playing.
Yeah.
Was
It's like
was that
old
good?
fantasy, really, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Like
real,
it's
like
tunes I
elvish.
imagine people in the 80s were listening to as they played Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They just had like their grandfather playing a flute in the background. Kind of like the Titanic theme song, like the sinking, but it's like all,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, so I turned that on, and I don't I can't even remember how many times I played the oh, you're finally awake. We've arrived with Geob waking you up on the boat, and I was like, no, that's not my name. I want to do this again, and just, oh, you finally arrived, but your records don't show from where. I'll never forget that in the character creation screen, and just being blown away. And you know how like you could create a class in Morrowind, and then there would be like a description up there that you could just like you could type
Yeah.
out whatever you want. I say type out. I was on Xbox. I literally would make a description just sitting there for like 27 minutes writing, three sentences or whatever to describe who I was. Like I'm a half vampire, elvish,
Yeah.
wanderer or whatever, and just like, and it's like, who the hell's ever gonna see this? No one's ever gonna see this.
No, you
Yeah,
don't want anyone to see it, honestly. Like if
no, no,
we're gonna be honest, right? Because I
no.
bet there was a
It's
lot of
embarrassing.
spelling mistakes. There still would
Yes,
be if you probably tried it today. Um,
still, yeah, especially with
yeah,
a controller.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
So
it
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say it, and that was it. That's all I was gonna say.
Oh, that's all you're gonna say?
That's all
Oh,
I
that's
want to say. I
very
just want to say
convenient.
it. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, seriously.
No, seriously. I really, actually, I can't remember.
Okay.
I was
Well,
just gonna say it. Literally, just that was it. Like that was
yeah.
the
So you
beginning
were
because I had
planning for
never
me to
seen
cut you
agency.
off.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, no worries. So my my story actually involves the better of the two games that we're going to be talking about, in my opinion. Probably not. I mean, Morrowind's absolutely amazing. Like, let's just be honest. Um, but I mean, I was probably 12 years old as well. I was in middle school and seventh grade health class. One of my buddies came in. He was like, "Man, you got to play this game." I was like, "What game is that?" And he started explaining Elder Scrolls Oblivion, just the way that a seventh grader would, you know. Oh, dude, it's
Yeah.
cool. You can pick up apples. I was like, can you eat the apples? Because I'm fat. I was like, so you can
Yeah.
pick up apples and eat them. He was like, yeah. And so I was sold then. But then he told me the story about how he went to Anvil, which is like one of the cities on like the southwestern coastline of Cyrodiil. And he said that he went to a bar, he found this guy, and this guy sold him a house for like cheap. And then he went over to the guy's house and he went inside and it was haunted and it scared him to death and all this different stuff. And so he was just building this up. And so as soon as I heard that, and like, you know, he said obviously other things about the game, but as soon as I heard what he was saying about this game, like I just knew I had to have it. I didn't have an Xbox 360, you know, though. So I went home and I asked my parents to buy me one. They said for my birthday. So I waited and I waited and eventually I got one anyway. And I got a copy of the game and I sat down and I absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, I just played so many different characters. You know, I created a pirate character. I created a mage character. I created, you know, like a noble chivalrous knight. I don't even know if that's how you say that word. But
Chivalrous.
chivalrous,
Chivalrous. Chivalrous.
chivalrous. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, I just I murdered the heck out of that game, man. I mean, I played as a rogue, I played as a pickpocket thief, you know, all sorts of different things. Now, I didn't ever actually write down any of the character descriptions. That wasn't an option in Oblivion, or if it was, I don't remember it.
I don't think it was. Yeah.
I also didn't want to leave any evidence of the nerdiness that I was doing.
Yeah.
But I did have like the characters in my mind, like who are they? What influenced them? What did they do to get into the prison? The Imperial prison. You know, all of that different information. And I'll tell you, the moment in gaming that 110% changed the way that I view gaming was walking out of that Imperial sewer for the first time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It just did. And
overwhelming.
before like before I found my love, my Oblivion, right? Before I found that, I mean, I was playing GTA and a little bit of Halo on like the old consoles, but I didn't have like any wants or need to get any of the new consoles, right? And so like I feel like if I didn't find Oblivion, I probably, you know, I don't know, I don't think I would love gaming as much as I do right now today, right? So
Right.
I don't know. To me, like Elder Scrolls Oblivion definitely carved out a path of just utterly loving video games in a new way that I never loved or experienced them before. Which led me to finding gems like Mass Effect and Fallout and
Yes.
Dragon Age, Fable, all of those, you know, extra amazing games. And then of course going back and playing Morrowind and Daggerfall and Arena, and so on and so forth. So for me, Oblivion is definitely that game.
Yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned like getting, because the first time that I ever played Oblivion was like on my mom's like Windows 99 or whatever it was, trying to play it.
I don't think you were
I
playing it
couldn't.
on the Windows 99.
Maybe not, but it was not running it. I will tell you that. Like it loaded up and it was like 1 frame per second, and I just tried. I tried so hard to play it. And I actually, it's funny. I mentioned that I still have the disc. I still have the Oblivion PC disc. But it wasn't until Christmas, coincidentally, you know, like that year, I think they got me a 360. My mom and my stepdad. And then I remember just because we had KOTOR in between all that, didn't we? And so that was a jumping off point. So that's like my number 2. If I had to say, you know, RPGs that made me,
which
Morrowind
KOTOR
was
would
the
have had to
first.
been on the Xbox One.
Yeah, the original, yeah.
Like the OG Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not that I didn't care about Star Wars, I just didn't have any connection to it at all. You know, they would play like Phantom Menace, you know, play Phantom Menace like in school, like, well, there's nothing else to teach today, so watch a fucking movie about a giant lizard man.
They played Star Wars like like the first prequel, Phantom Menace,
Phantom Menace,
at
yeah,
your school,
2001, yeah, or
like in
or
school.
99. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they did.
I was stuck watching like The Lion King and Sandlot. What school did you
Sandlot. Oh
go
my
to?
god. Well, these were teachers that, like, we're just so cool, and they're like,
Yeah,
banging,
those were
you know,
edgy teachers.
they're edgelords, smoking
Oh,
cigarettes inside the
oh,
classroom and stuff.
okay.
No, not really. But no, I didn't have any connection, and KOTOR is the reason that I am a Star Wars fan, because I was like, this is what Star Wars is, because there's enough lore in those games, obviously, to get a
Yeah.
vibe whenever you go and watch the movies, and in retrospect, you're like, now I get it. So yeah, KOTOR was, and the thing is, like, agency.
Mhm.
I had absolutely no co- uh conception of, is that a word? That's a word. I
Yeah,
had
it's
no
definitely a
like
word.
I had no like you were saying before, like, you had like no need or want for something. I didn't really know that I
Mhm.
wanted it until I had it. There was no idea
Yeah.
of agency. I was the bro shooter playing COD, and well, I guess that came later, but you know what I mean. Just playing games that were
Yeah.
just mindless, and sort of trying to inject myself into experiences that already had a preconceived narrative. And then Morrowind and Oblivion and those kind of games, you just get released, and then you're just like, I don't know what to do right now. Like, I'm so overwhelmed. And KOTOR did that too, with a good narrative, but yeah. So that's, yeah. I don't want to. I can get rambling on, but yeah.
Funny story. I downloaded. I bought and I downloaded KOTOR on my PC to play it again, and
Yes.
I like landed on like the first planet, and then the game crashed. And it
Oh
totally was
no.
not my computer. Totally not my computer. I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you right now, 100% was not. Well, I guess technically it was my computer that it happened on,
It
but
happened too. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
blame the software. I don't blame the
Yeah. Your
hardware.
computer was the victim. It wasn't
It
the reason.
was. It
Yeah, I
was.
get you.
You know, I will say this. So, in a previous conversation that we had, not on this podcast, but in a previous conversation, I mentioned something, and I think you might have had the same experience. If you didn't, that's perfectly fine. Don't lie, to make it sound
Okay.
like, oh, this is so organic,
Like,
right?
I'm really cool.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but whenever I was playing Oblivion back in the day, 12 years old, smelly, laying,
Oh,
sitting on my bedroom, just like
yeah.
staring at the TV. I wasn't smelly. I took baths, but but I would play Oblivion, right? And then I would go and play like Rainbow Six Vegas for a couple of hours with my
Yes.
friends, right?
Yes.
And then I would go back to Oblivion
Mhm.
like for like hours. And then I would leave the house without sleeping, jump on the school bus, go to school, not learn a thing, come home and repeat it all over again. I would just play Oblivion, Rainbow Six, Oblivion, Rainbow Six. And then eventually
Right.
I dropped Rainbow Six and added in Call of Duty, but there was always Oblivion, right? Like I always came
Yeah.
back to that game. I always, always, always just came back to Oblivion. Like it was my home straight up for like 3-4 years of gaming. Like that's all I did was
Right.
Oblivion. And then, I would cheat on Oblivion a little bit, just a tad, and some other game.
Right. So you're referring to when I was talking about going, because there was a time where I went back from Skyrim to New Vegas, Fallout New
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, and that's literally all that I played, because then it literally, like, it had everything to me. Like, both games had the best of both worlds. One was a shooter, and in these days, it's not a great shooter, but it was what I
Mm-hmm.
had. Had the shooter in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's an RPG. And then you had the fantasy, and it was beautiful, and music. It was totally different vibe, magic and all this whimsical whatever. And it was an RPG, and they're both Bethesda games. And so I just, like, I would start to get bored of one of them and be like,
Yeah.
back to the other one, and it never ended. Like, it never ended.
Well, it did
It's like,
eventually because I
well,
saw
it did
I saw
eventually.
you playing Persona the other day.
It did it exactly.
So it
Finally, Persona
eventually
broke.
ended. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it did.
After all these years.
They finally got me, Persona. You got me, Atlas or whatever, whoever. I don't know. But
Got
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Got you. So I mean, you mentioned Morrowind, right, as like the game that influenced you the most, right? And then KOTOR
Yeah.
was the second one. You know, if I had to, obviously Oblivion's my first. Oblivion's still my favorite game to this day. If anyone ever says, "Hey, Trevor or Zimmy, what's your favorite game?" They usually don't sound like that, but you know, when they say those words, I always have
Yeah.
to say Oblivion. Like, there's just like it just first thing that comes to the mind, and that's just being as honest as I can. But the second game that probably like the second RPG that influenced me like would probably be Mass Effect.
Yes. Yes.
Like the first one. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, what that game accomplished, right?
Here
Which
we
I'm
go.
not saying that BioWare didn't do it previously because they kind of dibble dabbled in it, right? Like in like the Knights of the Old Republic series.
Yeah.
But like what that whenever you selected an option, your character spoke. Like to me, like that was like, oh my god, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
over here playing, you know, Elder Scrolls and you know, Fallout 3 I think actually released around like the same time that the very first Mass Effect did. I think those were both 2008 titles. Um
Yeah.
but it just blew my mind, right? This is my ship. I can take it all over the galaxy. I'm like this special human that they're calling a
Yeah, dude.
specter.
Yeah.
You know, I can make
Uh,
choices. I can make choices in this game. Like, do I kill like the big arachnid spider? I don't remember what they were called. Or do I let it live, you know, kind of
Arachni.
thing.
Yeah.
Is that actually what they were called?
Yeah. The Arachni.
The Rachni. Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah. The
100%
Arachni
what they were
Queen.
called.
Yeah.
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 Um, I mean, forming relationships with your crew, right? Having
Yeah.
conversations after each and every mission to like hear what they thought, you know, how I screwed that thing up or how I, you know, couldn't have done any better trying to save that person. You know, like to me, like that was like super groundbreaking. I'm not gonna say that no games previously had not dabbled with some of those gameplay elements or some of those narrative storytelling elements or any of that. I'm not gonna say like BioWare was the first to do everything, right? But from my perspective as a player who at you know that point in time had only played X amount of games and you know previously, like that was
Yeah.
groundbreaking to me, right? And then to see them come out with the second Mass Effect game, which tons of people continue to this day say like
Greatest.
their
Yeah.
favorite is the second
Yeah.
Mass Effect game. But to see all of those choices that I made in the previous game actually
To carry over.
play and carry
Yeah.
over into the second game, I'd never seen that before. And that was
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I mean, man, I'm gonna try to just be short because Mass Effect. Just for the audience, Mass Effect is my favorite IP of all time,
Yeah.
and it's funny because that is a very similar trajectory that I was on when it came to RPGs and discovery. Um, Mass Effect was something that I had never, because this is during a time where internet wasn't readily available for everyone. So being like, I remember hearing about Dragon Age for the first time in GameStop, and the lady
Yeah.
there, her name was Hope. She was the lady at the desk, and she
She
was like,
was
"Are you
your
gonna get?"
hope.
She was my only hope. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I remember her asking, "Are you gonna get Dragon Age?" And I was like, "What's that?" And she was like, "It's like Mass Effect, but fantasy." That's how she sounded.
Yeah.
I just didn't know about anything. So playing Mass Effect, um, I'll never forget. Like like number one, the music. As soon as you boot it up, the I can't. I'm not great with soundtrack. I just know how it sounds, but that
Mhm.
that that like synth wave, like doom, 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 like just every little thing. Anyway, then you hit new game, you hit character creation, and I just expected what we get with Morrowind and KOTOR. It's just like, and you're
Mhm.
just like, boom, and it's just like right in your face, character creator. But this is like, please re-identify, and it's like the music is playing, and it's like reconstructing data and like all that's like, what is happening right now? It's so cool. Like you really started getting into like, this is me, this is who I am. I think my first I think because I was real big into naming every character Vincent, because Vincent Valentine was like my hero back in the day, Final Fantasy VII. Thanks a lot, Square Enix. Fuck you. No. But yeah, so it was. I'll never forget making my character, and then when it starts, they're talking about you because you chose your background. And still to this day, that just I wish more games would do that. Like, but he was a sole survivor on the whatever. Like, we could meet, we might need a man like that. They're talking about you.
The Soul
And then when
Survivor comes back. The
yeah, the
OG
sole
Soul
survivor.
Survivor. The
Exactly.
OG
Yeah.
one. Yep.
Yeah. And then the music crescendos and the camera spins around, your character standing there. I'm like, that's me, dude. I made him. They're ugly as hell. They're like, because you tried your best. You spent like 4 hours in character creation and you had to start over. That's an infamous Mass Effect thing right there.
Yeah.
Mass Effect, man. Yeah, it just changed
Dude,
the whole game for me.
I forgot. Like I was sitting there like naming off like different things, right? Like the impact of like your crew and all this different stuff. I never even mentioned that you have an origin story.
Yeah, yeah.
And like
And it carries over.
And it carries over, right? And
Mhm.
and it actually, I mean, it's more of like a narrative kind of themed thing, right? But I mean, from just a character, from a character creation point of view, it leaves so much, I think, impact on the player, right?
Right.
And it's something that games like, I mean, BioWare did it in the Dragon Age series too, but I mean, I don't know. And then I guess Fallout 4 kind of did it, but it was like just kind of pre-written into like the gender that you chose kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was still cool to like be able to have references to what your character was doing previously kind of thing.
Right.
With the female being a lawyer and the guy being a soldier and so on and so forth. Certain dialogue options and so on. But yeah, man, Mass Effect is great.
Matt, I could
Such a
literally sit
groundbreaking
here.
game.
Yeah, like we could have like a whole show about Mass Effect.
We will.
Because I just I don't even know, like I don't even know what the like, because everything that I want to talk about Mass Effect, the moments that make it so great are just total spoilers. So I can't like even.
No, I mean,
I can't even.
we would just need a like a banner, right? Or just
Right,
like an
spoiler.
announcement,
Yeah.
and then we
like
yeah.
there are like so many reveals, and I think that's one of the reasons like Mass Effect 2, the way that it plays into what happens with Mass Effect 1 and how popular it became. They leaned into that so much that there are reveals and like there are things that happen with characters in Mass Effect 2 that you're just like, this is the greatest thing ever. And like what happens on Omega, for example, in Mass Effect 2, if you know what I'm talking about. Like that reveal, you're like, of course. I talked about it on my show recently.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was watching your show. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What was he? Archangel, right?
Archangel, yeah. And you're like, this dude, and
Archangel,
this
yep.
dude is holding it down for like a week, killing dudes left and right. And you're like, what is this dude? Reveal.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? I won't spoil it, but what that character says, whenever they're revealed like on your ship and your character is like, oh, you're scarred up. That line that character says.
Yep. Yeah, dude. And that's oh, so good, man. So good.
It is good.
And that whole scene has been like memed. I think I actually used one of the memes recently. I use it all the time. Just like old times. Yeah.
Man, I tell you what. So this obviously is a pre-recorded show, right?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this had to be a pre-recorded show because YouTube is being a bunch of bullies and they wouldn't let us go live without like 24-hour like notice kind of thing. Because this is such a new YouTube channel, just YouTube rules, But how good would it be right now to have a chat? You know what I mean? And just be able to like glance over, look at that chat and just hear and be able to read off like all of the awesome, impactful stories that
feed off the
they
excitement.
have. Yeah. Like,
I'm with you,
it would be incredible. It would be
Yes.
absolutely incredible. And unfortunately, we don't have that. So let's go with our third pick for the most influential RPG. So yours was
Okay.
Morrowind. Then you chose oh my
It's
god,
KOTOR.
KOTOR. Yeah, KOTOR. And then now third and final, then we'll move on to the news.
I mean, maybe I should just keep talking about Mass Effect because
Is that what you're
it's
gonna
kind of
choose?
Mass Effect. Yeah,
Is it
it's kind of Mass
okay.
Effect. Because I can't. The reason, like, I can. It's very easy for me to go off instinct whenever things have had an impact. As human beings, we can just whatever comes to your mind, right? And it is Morrowind and KOTOR and Mass Effect because, like, to this day, I've beaten that game, Mass Effect. I've beaten those games so many times and just lived in those worlds for in that world for those worlds, games in general that had an impact for so long that I don't know, they just come back. I can return to them. I besides I don't know if it's a cop out to say Skyrim versus Mass Effect. And Skyrim came out a year before Mass Effect 3. So Mass Effect sort of came before him. Like, sorry, like the new girlfriend, like the new hotness. It's like, sorry.
I don't even know
so,
what you're talking about.
just like Skyrim versus Mass Effect. Like, if I were to choose a different third,
Okay,
it would
so you're comparing
it
those
would be
two.
Skyrim. Yeah.
So okay, so you would put Skyrim above Mass Effect.
No, I'm saying that because it came first, and I had already had Morrowind and Oblivion.
Skyrim did not come before like Mass Effect 1.
No. I'm just saying Skyrim came 2011. Before then, I had Morrowind and Oblivion. And Mass Effect was mixed up in all that. 2010, 2009 or 10 that Mass Effect 2 came out.
I think 2008. I'm wanting to think
Mass Effect
2008.
1.
Mass Effect 1. I think 2010 was the second one, and then 2012 was the third one.
Was third. That's what I thought.
I'm wanting to think. I could be completely wrong. See, if we had a chat, YouTube.
Yeah, we could be going down and say, "Oh, look at you, Dingle
We
Man
also have
23." Yeah. So we do have Google. Yeah, that'd be nice to know. But yeah, it is a battle between my third because Skyrim sort of capitalized on everything that made me the RPG lover that I am. And then at the same time, Mass Effect did things new with what I didn't know that I wanted, and also what I loved about RPGs, if that makes any sense. So they are head to head. But the thing is, I think Skyrim is my most played game of all time. Like,
really,
and I've spent more time. It has to be actually a friend of mine. Shout out to Eleutherius, and he's not going to see this, but shout out to my buddy Roger. He pointed out to me, he's like, I'm pretty sure like Skyrim's like your most played game ever. And I went and I looked at how many hours I have now just on Xbox Series X versus how much time I had to have put when it came out. And I'm like, oh my God, it is. It has to be. It has to be. And it's a single player game. It's like, 2,000 some hours, which that many hours to a lot of people isn't really saying much. I know people that have like 30,000 hours in the Division or something. I'm like, what are you doing though? But to each their own, but I think that is a testament to say that, to sort of say that Skyrim, I really don't know how to parse how I feel about, because Skyrim is just so legendary. Pick the Legendary Edition now for Game Pass Xbox.
So my third pick would have to be Fallout 3. Fallout 3.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is a good one. And now you can't steal it because you already said your third.
Shit. Damn it. Now I have a story and everything. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, okay. So anyone that has followed me like content creation wise, has seen me on people's podcasts and so on and so forth, know one thing about me. I'm a coward. I do not play. I don't play scary games. And hear me out. I was a very timid child. So to me, Fallout 3 was really scary, man. Like, it was really scary.
Yeah.
like super mutants, like those big gargantuan beastly men. Like those things were scary. The ghouls, like down in the sewers, like going down in that sewer, it was just so eerie. There was fog floating,
Yeah.
and scary ghouls like lunging at you, making
Right.
noises. And
Perfect. Yeah. Yep.
dude, it was so scary, but I still played it. And you know what I mean? Like I forced myself to go out of my comfort zone to play it, and I absolutely just adore and love that game. Even still to this day, because I'm a coward, I don't like going into the sewers on like Fallout 4 because like
Oh, okay.
it
I
just
thought you meant
makes
like
me
real
feel
life. You
really
just
uncomfortable. Which I
yeah.
mean, that's what the game sets out to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I would say Fallout 3 is probably like the third most influential role playing game that I've played, because it took me out of that comfort zone and it made me want to keep going at it. You know what I mean? Like previously, if I encountered like a scary moment in a game, I like pressed the button real quick, turned off the console, and didn't ever play that game ever again. Right? Took it back to
Yeah.
Blockbuster kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I never did that with Fallout 3. And additionally, Fallout 3 allows you to do some really, really awesome choices. Like
Yeah.
blowing up an entire city with a nuke.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Megaton. Yeah.
Like that's awesome.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember if they advertised that as like in the trailer for that game, they
Mm-hmm.
advertised it like, oh, like that must be like an end of the game type of thing, blowing
Yeah.
up Megaton, and it was just like a thing that you could do, and like that is like a testament to just choice and
Yeah.
consequence in games
You can
when it was coming out.
literally erase an entire city that you could actually go to in the future and trade with, right?
Right? Yeah. People,
Couldn't
shops,
couldn't
everything.
you also have a home there?
I
You
believe so.
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There, because you like walk up the steps. I remember how annoying it was to run up there to your little hut
Yeah.
or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, you literally blow up one of your potential homes. You kill off so many NPCs. You
Yep.
irradiate a big, section of the map. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And you just basically you commit, a war crime. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I remember the first time I was standing on top of Tenpenny Tower and I had that button in front of me and I had a choice to make. And they said, press the button, and
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
beep, immediately. Like, I guess I was a sadistic child. Did you press that button?
I did. Of course, I did
Yeah.
the save scum thing. I was like, well, what's gonna happen? And I saved, and then
Yeah.
I blew it up, and I was like, whatever. But no, it's weird because back then I did a lot more Renegade. Well, lack of a better word, playthroughs. Like I would start over and then just be a bad guy. I wouldn't teeter either, both ways. I would either be a really great guy or just an absolute like terrible person.
That's actually something that's really, really interesting. And this is I think a lot of people kind of forget this about Fallout 3. They had a morality system.
Yeah, the karma system. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a karma system. There's no good way of actually including this. The timing of this is horrible, but I did look up on Wikipedia the most accurate encyclopedia anywhere, and they do say that Mass Effect's the very first Mass Effect came out in 2007. So we were I was
2007. Okay.
I was off by that on a year.
I knew that.
2010 saw Mass Effect 2, and 2012 did see Mass Effect 3. So
Okay.
I got 2 for 3. Mass Effect, another game with a morality system. There we go. See, we tied it in. Finally.
Here we go. BioWare doing their thing. I think the first time that I ever saw anything like this was another Xbox game. By the way, because Mass Effect was an Xbox exclusive, which is crazy to think about, but it was.
Yeah. So was Morrowind.
Right, so was Morrowind, and Oblivion was for a time too.
For a time,
it did not release. And And another Xbox original that did this first. This has nothing to do with console stuff, people. By the way, it's just
No.
coincidence. Fable is the first time that I remember seeing actual physical changes to your character whenever you do good
Yeah.
or bad things. And I remember that just being like a whole new thing. Like, I don't want to go on a tangent, but I'm gonna stick on the morality side to stay focused. And then KOTOR did it, okay, and then Mass Effect did it. You know, same people, BioWare, and that the visual representation of being good or bad was just so amazing. And I remember a lot of people wanted DLC for Fallout New Vegas. I remember reading this all the time, like to become a ghoul or something if you were really bad, or like you chose to be like super irradiated, because the physical representation was just nothing until games like Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim, whatever. They started capitalizing on this idea of, you know, becoming a vampire, and then you actually look like a vampire, you know, that kind of stuff.
You know how
So yeah.
next gen, the next Fallout would be is like if you got like really irradiated, your hair just fell out, and then you look like
Yeah.
Zimmy.
There you go. Perfect.
Like
Or
that
me.
would be next
Wow.
gen. That would be next
Exactly.
gen. Let me tell
Your
you.
nose falls off. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if there was a chat here, they would be really upset with us, Red, because we never mentioned Fable, but you just did, but it's not on our list, right? They would be really
Not our
upset with
list.
us about that. They would be really upset with us about not mentioning The Witcher
Yeah. Well,
or all the
the way I'm
other
looking at
countless
this,
amazing RPGs.
I don't want to blow mine or your load at the same time all at once on the show,
Okay.
at least. But you know, there's just so many games that I do want to talk about. The Witcher, though, is very special. If you couldn't tell, I am wearing this, very special. The Witcher, though, I have
Yeah.
never in my life. I did the Harry Potter thing that you did, but not in that order. I'm sure you read the books, obviously, before you watched the movies and all that. For me,
Well,
it was.
I actually
Go ahead.
watched the movies, or at least some of them, then read the books, then
Oh,
obviously, you know, Hogwarts Legacy was a thing too.
right.
But I
Well,
played several of the Harry Potter games, like kind of like in between.
Yeah, so The Witcher for me, it's funny. The first gaming PC that I ever had. If you're wondering what I'm doing with my hand, I'm petting my dog because he just woke up. But it was a Dell, whatever the hell it was, and I remember watching X Play. Remember X Play with Morgan Webb and Adam Sessler? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no.
Anyway, it was like the gaming YouTube channel before YouTube, really. That's literally what it was. Yeah, just look
Okay.
it up real quick. You'll see like a little clip, and that was like the beginning of all that. And they actually tried to bring it back recently. A bunch of controversial, fun stuff happened. But anyway, I remember them showing off. I was a big Devil May Cry fan growing up. Loved Devil May Cry, and then they showed up this new game, and there was a dude with a sword with white hair again, and it's an RPG. And I was like, what is this? And they're like, PC. And I was like, I don't have one of those. So for my birthday, I asked for a PC to play this game. So I got the game. I remember my mom handing me the game, and I was like, oh, but mom, you know, I can't play it. And then my stepdad was like, all right, Wolf, come here. That's my real name.
Yeah.
And you know, gave me the PC that he actually had his friend build for me. I say build, but back then it was like putting Legos together. It was like chick, here you go. Nowadays it's much more complicated. And The Witcher
I would actually
became.
disagree. I think back in the day it was more complicated.
Nah, I know. I'm kidding. I'm saying like now, you know, because technology, it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, The Witcher, you know, I played it and I loved it, but it was a little. I was not ready for that level of.
And you're talking about Witcher
NPC.
1, right?
Witcher 1, yeah, the first
So
one.
like you're going against like the Lizard Gang.
Yes, the Salamandra. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
Every time I
it
think
was
of
my
that game, I just
first.
think of lizards.
There was a lot of well, yeah, because there was like in the character like Geralt looks like a demented elf that has never slept before in his life.
They
He
did a
just
lot
looks
of
so
improvements for the second game. I just want to say that.
weird. Yeah, it was
Um,
like wild improvements. Yeah.
yeah.
So Anyway, my history with The Witcher is vast. Like it is my top 3 RPG of all time. Even over Bethesda games, just because I think it offered something new. Sorry, Witcher 3. I'm saying like the culmination of my experience with it. But I tried The Witcher 3. A lot of stuff was going on in my life in 2015.
Mhm.
And so I didn't play it right away. And then when I finally did get to it, I was like, I just was not in the right headspace to play it. When I
Gotcha.
eventually did get to it, um, I I started remembering things that I knew from playing The Witcher 1 and how all everything's all connected. And it wasn't until I got to because I had played The Witcher 2, obviously. And uh, there was a character, I won't say who is anyone who hasn't who played The Witcher 3. There's a character that comes from The Witcher 2 if you have made the right decisions. Um, and I just stopped. I paused my game and I was like, nope, we ain't doing this because not only did that happen, but throughout the entire game, there were so many references like, oh, Yarpen Zegrin, haven't seen you since we fought in I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And it's the entire, I've never seen service done this way in anything ever, where it was. So long story short, I stopped, I deleted my save, and I went and I read every single fucking Witcher book, all of them, all seven of them. I read them all. Then I went back and I played Witcher 1 again, the enhanced edition, beat it. So many great reference. You feel so rewarded. I just spit
Yeah,
everywhere. You
that's
you
okay.
feel so rewarded just because they reference everything. Like if you read the books, this is going to be an amazing experience. And The Witcher 3 was elevated so much after that. Yeah, so I'm gonna shut the fuck up because yeah, The Witcher 3. Sorry.
You're
Yeah.
good, man. So, guys,
Welcome.
look, if you made it to this part in the podcast, congratulations. I don't see how you put up with us. But if you did, comment down below, right? Because this is a pre-recorded show, unfortunately. Comment down below. I'm still salty about that. What are
Yeah, me
your
too.
top 3, like what are the top 3 most influential RPGs that made you into who you are today? Yeah, go ahead. Comment. Pause the video right now. Comment down there. Click submit. Me and Red, we're gonna read through them, and we
Yeah.
might even talk about it on the next week's show. So definitely do it.
Oh, that's a good
All
idea.
right. Well, if you know what time it is,
What time is it?
it's news time.
Oh yeah,
It's news
girl.
time. So I have 2 pieces of news that that are RPG related news that I wanted to talk about today. And Wolf, if you have any pieces of news, we can talk about them as well. So
Okay.
Diablo 4, the beta. It was actually a beta. Wolf, I don't know if you know that or not, but it was actually a beta. And
No
Rod
way.
Ferguson actually told us that it was a beta. So if you guys don't know, the open beta for Diablo 4 happens last weekend. And tons of people played it, enjoyed it. I played it, I enjoyed it as well. There was some issues with it. Long wait times. People, I think there was a few people that disconnected and stuff like that. And I remember hearing a lot of people that played the closed beta and the open beta uh, did mention some performance issues and so on and so forth. So there was some criticism to that. So Rod Ferguson, whenever asked about it, he actually said that that it was a beta. It was actually a beta, not a marketing beta. Quote marketing beta.
A demo.
Basically a demo, right?
Yeah.
And that they actually had goals that they wish to accomplish. Such as just figuring out the load on like their servers and so on and so forth. And yeah, so you know, just letting you guys know
Yeah.
that was a beta. It was actually a beta.
Actually, he literally said it
Actually,
was actually a beta. And it's like, oh, he's
he didn't.
actually.
I'm not
Um,
gonna like that, no. But he did actually
yeah.
mention that. So I just thought that was actually kind of interesting. That I mean, it's something that we don't really think about very often, right? But nowadays, whenever betas happen, they're not really betas. They're just
Yeah.
a excuse for a marketer, right? Just to get some extra
Right.
promotion out. They're really just demos. Um, but I just thought it was really really cool that we actually got a beta. Well, we'll probably get the next one here in like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I remember betas back in the day. Whenever I think beta, always go
Mhm.
straight to Halo 3 every single time. My mind just
Crack.
goes
Didn't
there.
you have to? Wasn't there something with Crackdown? Like you,
If you bought
y-
Crackdown, no,
yeah, you got
yeah, if you
access
bought
to the beta.
Crackdown, you got the data that or the beta. You're right, right. You got
The
access
beta.
to it. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and that was like the whole thing. The Crackdown was never popular. Crackdown 1 is awesome. Um,
it was.
but yeah, yeah. But the thing is, like, I remember playing Halo 3. There were bugs and there were weird things.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember, you could like glitch through the helmet in theater mode, and you could like, oh, that's what Master Chief looks like, and it wasn't. Um, but then whenever the game came out, there were fundamental changes to the game, how it
Yeah,
looked, how it played, everything, and that is how you knew it was an actual beta. It wasn't a
yeah.
excuse me, it wasn't a vertical slice demo or anything like that. I didn't get to play the demo, or sorry, the beta.
It was
Excuse
really
me.
good. It was
Yeah,
really good, by the way.
I've heard. Well, see, I even talked about it on my show. I saw a lot of mixed things. Maybe it was just a lot of cherry picked things.
Hmm.
But I know that the performance is a thing, which is just a given. I don't count
Yeah,
that as a that really wasn't what I was talking about. But I did see like a lot of unbalancing. Like, someone would play as a level 10 necromancer, and then they would
yeah.
go into the same dungeon and just like annihilate everything. And then they would play as a level 10 warrior and just not have anything, and not even the same experience. People were like, this is kind of fucked. But no one really complained about anything other than the server test, the stress test,
Yeah.
as we can call them. So I'm glad to see that. I hope that this trends upward in a good way, because this is something that I think is positive. I don't, and people can say, "Oh, they're just saying that because they didn't expect that." Dude, GTA Online was a thing that happened, and you're telling me that they weren't prepared. They thought they were prepared. They were not. And if we didn't have that stress test, it still had issues afterwards. Maybe that's not a great
Yeah.
example, but you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, like, so I was in a party with a guy named Flamish. Shout out Flamish.
Ramesh,
He has a podcast. I feel really bad right now because I don't remember the name of his podcast off the name of my head, and I feel so bad. Anyway, he waited like 90 minutes, I think, to get into Diablo 4, like into the open beta. So imagine if they didn't do a beta and test it, like it could have been a nightmare on like the actual launch of this game. But no, I actually do believe like this is like genuinely a beta. I believe what Rod was saying. And to any people that had criticisms over Diablo 4's open beta, just know it was a beta. It was like actually a beta, like, and
actually,
yeah, like actually a
yeah.
beta. So give it another try whenever the game actually comes out. Next piece of news.
Cool.
This one actually gets my emotions. This one gets me a little hot, a little tempered.
Ooh,
It does. So,
yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy has recently seen a massive drop in player count. And there's been a couple of articles that have been saying this, and the reason why it gets me a little bit hot, a little bit tempered, is because if you hadn't played the game, right? If you hadn't played the game, and if you saw a headline that said players are already or have already stopped playing Hogwarts Legacy, if you didn't read the article, and let's be honest, most of us probably wouldn't. Hopefully,
Yeah.
um, you would think that like the game was bad or something, right? Um Now, if you do read the article, most of the journalists out there, do go on to explain it, logically why this has occurred. But has the Hogwarts Legacy player base went down? Absolutely, it has. It's went down significantly. But Red, would you like to
Why
guess?
is that?
Would you like to guess why that is?
I would say Zemi, because it's a single player game and people beat the shit out of it and had plenty
Yes,
of time to do so up until this time when the article was published. People have put
yes,
over 100+ hours into it. They are done with it. There's no DLC, there's no multiplayer, which I
yes.
think it even says in the article. That's it. That's
It
it.
does.
Shut up,
Yeah.
PC Gamer. I'm sorry. Was it PC Gamer? Who was it? The Verge? I don't know. It doesn't
No, it
matter.
was
Shut up.
Xfire. It was this site. Well, I actually saw the article on this website called Xfire, and I swear, if you look at their logo, you would think that you could see how they could possibly be a porn site. I'm just saying.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you their logo after the show. But
Yeah, please.
no, I don't know. I mean, see, that's something that I think a lot of people that might look at that headline might not think of is this a single player game. There's no multiplayer in it at all. It doesn't have the same level of mod support that games like Fallout or Elder Scrolls has.
Yeah.
So, and there's a limited amount of content. There's a good amount of content. Like if you want to 100% everything in Hogwarts Legacy, it's like 80 hours, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you can play through the game twice because there's, I think like there's 2, maybe 3 different endings. I think one's a secret ending. So there
Yeah.
is a decent little bit of replayability, but I mean, really and truly, like there is a definitive end to this game. And whenever you reach it, you're pretty much done, right?
Yeah.
Also, because we're talking about the player base going down, let's talk about the player base that's going to also go up. So the if you guys don't know, Hogwarts Legacy is going to release on May 5th for the Xbox One and PS4. And when that happens, we're going to see a good steady rise in the player base again, as well as the game on July 25th is going to be releasing for the Nintendo Switch. So we still haven't
Wow.
gotten to see how high of a player base that this could potentially get. I mean, there's obviously a lot more players on the old school consoles than the next gen consoles right now. I mean, it just kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna see a big spike as well. Oh, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, Red. Hogwarts Legacy, I think sold 12 million units for Warner Brothers. I think it's like their best selling game, like within like a certain time frame of like all time, I think is what I read.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, I think that's why the sequel was greenlit like almost immediately.
Yeah.
In terms of sales and player, I mean, look, what is the current player base right now for this single player game? What is 100,000 or something? 100,000 was like like the minimum. That's still a lot of people playing your game, and yeah,
Yeah.
the fact that this is going to come to Switch, that's insane to me. I mean, I remember saying that whenever The Witcher 3 got its Switch release, and
Mhm.
it was good for what it was. If you only play Switch games, you won't know the difference. But the fact that it runs is amazing for like a 500-hour game. If you try to do literally everything like I literally did, but don't be like me. I'm a psychopath. But yeah, so I am excited to see. This is just like a non article. It's like the news was hot because it was hot and it came and went like a like a something really fast. I can't think of anything really fast. Like a cheetah in the field. I don't know, but it just
Yeah.
came and went like all the controversy, and then people say, "Oh, it's only popular because of the controversy." Shut up. It's stupid, but yes, that actually did help a little bit. But that's not the only reason. People loved the game. I love the game. I was really excited for the game. I was not expecting to like it near as much. I'm not even done with it. Because I play games very weird. When I love something, I just hold on to it. I just like play like a
Mhm.
few hours at a time, and then I'll put it down for like a week, or I'll jump to another game. Um, and
I'm kind of like
this to
that, but I
me,
don't put it down. Like I feel those same emotions. I just don't
yeah,
put it down.
you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
And then
take a
it's
breath.
gone.
I'm gonna step outside and be like, yeah, just to like be away from it for a minute.
Mhm.
That's just how I am. Because when I love it, I had to do that. But yeah, this is just I can't wait to see the resurgence again whenever it comes
Mhm.
out. Because I forgot because I think the Xbox One and PS4 got delayed. Those versions, right? They got pushed back a little bit because they were trying to.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Like because I guess because they wanted to push out the next gen versions. I mean, in all fairness, like the game had been like already delayed, like I think once, maybe twice. Um, and the last thing that I think would have been really good for the game is for them to delay it again for all the players. Fortunately, they didn't do that. They launched the game out to the next gen consoles as well as PC. So all of us with next gen consoles and PCs got to play. However, the Xbox and PlayStation players on the previous gen hardware have yet to be able to play. They will get to on May 5th. And then for some reason, I think the Switch version got pushed back even further to July 25th, which kind of makes sense because the Switch
Yeah,
is not as powerful of a console,
yeah.
and but of course they still want to hit on that platform. I think that's the best selling console out on the market right now, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, CMA, you paying attention? Oh God, no. Yeah, yeah. I I think it's worth it too, just to get it in as many hands as possible, even if this wasn't the plan to begin with, which I think it was. It's great that it had the success that it did, regardless of all the controversy. So to double dip like this is, I get it, and it deserves it. I am excited to see. It just the whole idea of being worried about, I don't even know what this article are we worried. Oh, despite the amazing, it's like, does this person even play games? Sometimes I worry if
I
journalists
mean,
even
part of
play
me
games.
kind of thinks like this article is a hey, did you know kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
I
more
don't
like, fun
know. Like,
fact, water's wet.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Hogwarts Legacy still has plenty of fuel in the gas tank. It's gonna continue driving sales, and be one of the best selling games of this year.
Yes.
100%. Right, and it also stands to have a really, really, really good opportunity to possibly get Game of the Year. For a lot of different, publications and events and shows and so on and so forth. I don't think it's going to get my Game of the Year because Starfield, Todd Howard,
Oh my
my
God,
love,
man.
Bethesda.
You want to
I
talk about a
mean,
whole episode? Oh
yeah.
man. Ah,
Unfortunately, we can't because hey, it's the end of the show.
we're out of
So,
time, baby.
Red Wolf, buddy, where can
Yes.
people find you? My new co-host.
You you can
No, you.
find me.
Yeah,
Oh, me.
yeah, you. Yeah.
Where you can find me? Well, here I am. Come get me. No. Um, you can find me at Red Wolf Renegade. That's right, Red Wolf Renegade on Twitter and YouTube. The only Red Wolf Renegade on YouTube and Twitter. If you have trouble finding me, I'm sure it'll be in the description down below or up above. And just depending how you're sitting, yeah, I got a weekly podcast there. Come check us out. We go live every Tuesday, 6 p.m. EST. That's Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, and we talk about everything and anything surrounding games, and sometimes we go on tangents, talk about shampoo and stuff. So, yeah. Very excited. This was fun. It flew by. I was like, my God, this
Yeah.
this flew by. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. It was a good problem to have. Yeah.
Well, we went over a little bit, right? I mean, we
That's all
just
right.
fell in love with the inspirational RPGs in our lives topic, which is perfectly
Yeah.
fine, perfectly amazing. Guys, definitely go and give Red Wolf a follow on Twitter. Go check out his shows Tuesdays, right? What time?
6 p.m. Eastern Time.
There you go. Where can they find it?
Red Wolf Renegade on
There
YouTube
you
and
go.
on Twitter. Give me a follow. I'll follow you back. I promise.
And if you guys want to give me a follow on Twitter as well, at Zimmy Games, and be sure to check out the weekly poll that we're going to be putting up on Monday to make sure to be able to vote. We're going to be talking about it on the very next episode of the RPGwhat podcast that will air next Thursday at 7 p.m. Until then, see you guys. Have fun playing games. Peace out.
Bye.